Hey everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Ticket Stubs and Popcorn. I'm Frank.
And I'm Peter.
He's Peter. Today we're going to be talking about Kate Winslet. She came out of the bucket. So, yeah, she's great. I like her a lot.
I do too.
Very cool.
Yeah,
So,
I like her. I got a question for you.
yeah, all right, yeah, let's do that. Talk about
Alrighty.
stuff at the end. You guys knew that was coming, right? Right?
At
We
some
always do a
point.
question.
Always. We don't really. Well, we haven't yet anyway. Talked much about foreign language movies. Foreign
America
movies.
first.
That's right, America.
America.
So I was just curious. How do you feel when you see a foreign language movie? Do you prefer the movie to be subtitled or dubbed?
That is an interesting
Because I do
question.
think it affects.
I think it
a little
does.
bit,
Yeah, that's really interesting. All right, yeah, we'll talk about that. All
Yeah,
right,
we'll
that's
talk
cool.
about that later.
That's a really interesting question. That's kind of cool. All right, so talk to me about Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet, very good. Wonderful actor. You don't normally. I mean, sometimes the movies might not be always great, but her
Yeah.
performances are
Yeah.
always very noteworthy and very, very steady. Her performances. I'm going to. There's a couple that obviously didn't make the cut, but
Obviously, that's always going to happen.
yeah. So let me just start off with The Reader.
Okay. That's a good one.
Like this movie, very good. We've talked before about some actors with an understated performance. This one, she's co-starring with, although, their scenes are a little different because it's spanned over time, so
Right.
there's a different actor playing the male character. But Ray Fiennes is a very good, understated actor. He's very private. In
He's
this
always
movie.
really good.
Yeah, but her character, Kate Winslet's character, Hannah is her name, and she's also very private, secretive, and because it deals with an intimate physical relationship between her and, at the time, a very young man, 15, not quite 16 yet.
Yeah.
And
He is 15 going
Yeah.
on.
so he doesn't know much,
Dear
Although
Penthouse, I
he's
never thought it would
enjoying-
happen to me.
but he's enjoying this relationship, and he's definitely fallen in love. And he matters to her also. She does say it at some. Yeah, a little reticent about it, but she does say it. But
Oh.
she's reticent about a lot of stuff, and that's what's kind of interesting.
Let's be honest, you're 15, 16 years old. Any woman who gives you the time of day,
Who
you're in
asks
love.
questions? You got it.
Right?
Yeah. Don't rock the boat. So he
Although, if the boats are rocking,
don't come knocking.
people knock on boats.
I don't know who knocks on a boat.
I don't know.
Houseboat? I don't know. Still at the knot? Yeah, maybe.
I
Who
don't know.
knows?
But then that gets us down that rabbit hole of like Das Boot knocking boots.
Oh,
Then there's that. So
Kinky Boots.
yeah,
All right.
great movie.
So we got Kate Winslet, the reader. Character's name is
Welcome to the
the black hole of my mind.
yeah, exactly, a rabbit hole. podcast.
So she plays the part of Hannah, and then what's interesting is we do find out that she enjoys having people read to her, and she has this whole world of literature and stuff. She's exposed, and she's really digging this, and still hiding a secret or two,
Like you do.
like you do, and it's just a lovely performance by her. The movie may not be a lovely movie, but it's a very good movie. It's not one of those like it's
Yeah, no,
it's
it's a
sweet,
good
it's
movie.
wonderful. It's her performance is
That
very
movie
good.
got an Oscar.
I think she
did.
won it for that one.
I think so.
But it may have been nominated too for best movie. I don't know about that one, but very good in it. Like I said, she's keeping secrets from him, and as things start to unfold, she gets a job promotion, so she just leaves abruptly. So that ends their relationship. A few years go by, so now he's a law student. So I don't know what that is. 8 years later, maybe something like that.
Who's to say?
Yeah, and he runs across her again, but from a distance this time. As a law student, one of his classes, it's a small class, so like a small group of like 8 people or 7 people, and the professor, they're following an important trial. The movie takes place in Germany, so it's important to the German people, and it's a legal precedent too, so this class is covering it. And you find out now that it's about some guards who were at a concentration camp X amount of years earlier.
It's always the Nazis.
During World War II, so now he's there watching the thing, and there's, I don't know, a handful of female guards who are on trial, and he finds out. As he's looking down from the balcony, the spectators think they're just watching the thing for his law class. He finds out that the woman 8 years earlier who he had a relationship was, X amount of years before that, a guard as a younger woman. She was a guard at one of the concentration camps, possibly Auschwitz, which I forget. But anyway. So,
hilarity ensues.
Yeah. So then,
and
she's, and so he sees this, and then she gets not the death penalty, but she gets successive life term. So she's not getting out. Yeah. She's going to be there for the rest of her life, or at least it appears. Same thing. So now she's in jail, but she's still that same, quiet, sort of thing. But now we're at the Ralph Fiennes character is representing the male character now because he's older, and he starts thinking about her, and he knows that she still likes to have somebody, read to her. So he just starts taping. He reads on tape, and then he sends her the stuff. So then she starts writing back. So they have a correspondence that way. And toward the end of her life, then it seems like she might have a chance of getting out, good behavior or whatever, but she has no relatives, so she doesn't talk about anything. Yeah. So the only one they know is because he's sending these packages is this one man's address. So they call him up, they look him up, they call him up, and he doesn't know what to make. What do I do? And then he realizes, well, maybe. So he plans, to visit, and then he can't do it. But he still sends stuff. But he does go, and then he sets up a place to stay for her when her release does go through, and even a job, I think. Sets up some stuff. He does go visit her. They do talk, and I'm not going to spoil the very end of the movie, but it's not a normal release, we'll say, but it's the only thing that kind of bugged me a little bit about this movie is that during the course of the trial, you find out why she wants people to read to her is because she is illiterate. And it seems as though, especially during the trial, everything's coming out in the open, except for that. He pieces this together on his own. So it almost seems, The only point that really kind of bugged me is the fact that she seems to be more embarrassed about her past life because of her illiteracy than her past life as a prison guard who was allowing things to happen and actually participating in killing people. It's like that was the thing that she was more ashamed of. And I was like, all right, that's the only thing that kind of, kind of bothered me a little bit. But wonderful performance, great performance. Because she's kind of wrapped, she keeps things away. She only does what or gives out information as she needs to survive, kind of thing. And very good, though. I really like that performance by her. So that would be one pick. Second pick would be a movie which is a little more recent, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. It's a movie called Wonder Wheel, and it's a minor Woody Allen movie. Didn't do well. It takes place in the early, like 1950, we'll say. It takes place early 50s, and it's at Coney Island.
Woody Allen.
Yeah, it's at Coney Island. So she plays being. The other thing with Kate Winslet is she's an actor from the UK, so she does have what Americans would consider an accent, a British accent. So in this one,
I think anyone would consider her to have a
that's
British
true.
accent.
So, consider her to have an accent. That's, you know what I mean? But, so in this one, she plays an American and like a Brooklyn accent. She works at Coney Island. She lives at Coney Island. And in this one, she's a little different in this role. She's married to Jim Belushi in this movie. It's not bad in the movie. The movie's not the greatest, but her performance.
Jim Belushi in a Woody Allen movie is like.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it's not. Nothing is played for laughs. This one's a serious movie, pretty much a serious movie, which makes it interesting to go. Jim Belushi's doing a serious.
I don't know. That's like.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that's like.
Yeah. So he's married to Ginny. Her name is. That's the Kate Winslet character, and they each have children from a previous marriage. But out of the blue, Jim Belushi's daughter comes to live with them because she actually has mob people after her. And so she has nowhere to turn to. She doesn't have a good relationship with her dad, but she literally has to go to the only place that she can think of that they will never look because they know she doesn't have a good relationship. Yeah. So she goes from wherever to Coney Island, and she living with them. And so, but she needs to get a job because they're all kind of just borderline, just at that poverty level. So they're barely making ends meet by just doing boardwalk kind of jobs, working at the carny sort of thing. So that's what they do. And but she's fallen in love. The Kate Winslet character has fallen in love with a younger man played by Justin Timberlake, and so she's smitten with him as a lifeguard. Her life is not good. Her marriage is not good, and so she's got an edge to her, and she sees this maybe a little some fun, something different, something in her life that maybe she could do something else, get out of her marriage, do something different. And so she's fallen in love with him. He's the summer lifeguard. He's got his own aspirations about being a poet and a playwright. So he's just going along with this one. They're having fun. And then when the daughter shows up, the Jim Belushi's daughter shows up, she meets Justin Timberlake and starts falling for him. And that's when the Kate Winslet character now that not only is she crusty, but now she's like downright deceitful.
Nice.
And she wants to make sure that she stops seeing Justin here. You know what I mean? You stay away, and she's just plotting and conniving, and she wants the Justin Timberlake character all for herself, and not necessarily working out. And so there's stuff in there where you see her turn, and she's very good. She's very. Her performance is a lot better than the movie is. You know what I mean? It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And but her performance is something that you don't want to miss. Yeah, you might not run out to go see the movie,
right.
And I agree, but her performance is very good.
Cool.
Very good in that one. And the third one, a British movie, very good movie called Iris. She plays a woman called Iris Murdoch, who is like a British philosopher in the movie. No, she wasn't real. There was some books that she wrote, but the movie is based off of Iris's husband's. I don't know if he wrote a book or if he just had a note, something, but they made a movie from this one. So the movie's called Iris. The interesting thing about this one is it's essentially 4 actors playing 2 people. So you have the younger Iris, which is Kate Winslet, the older Iris, which is Judi Dench, the younger husband, Jim, Hugh Bonneville, and then the older one, Jim Broadbent. And he's great. He's excellent in this movie.
And I would say that Judi Dench is an old Kate Winslet.
Yeah, and so they've matched up very well. When
Yeah.
you see them walking and talking and moving, you can see
Oh, yeah.
the younger Kate Winslet character
Yeah.
easily being
when
the
they-
same
when
person. You know what I mean?
When
Really,
they do
you see
something
it.
like that, it's the mannerisms
You got it.
that
That make the
that
connection.
really, when they sort of travel over time,
Yeah.
those are the
Yeah.
things
Yeah,
that really kind of keep you in it.
right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the 2 male actors, same thing.
Yeah.
You'd swear, the way they have them made, you swear it's the same person because those mannerisms,
Yeah,
they're
that's
very self-effacing because they're
the
both,
challenge.
they're like both, everything, they're like, this kind of decorous, self-effacing character, and they both live to serve their wife. So in this case, Iris, they just will kind of like, it's just the way they are. They just cater to their wives, and they just vary, and so the Kate Winslet character, she's a free spirit, a free thinker. So it goes back in time because they have to do
Right.
the age. So we're talking like the 40s, but definitely the 50s, and you just see this Kate Winslet character. She's very she's very deep in her thoughts all the time. So that's kind of like a thing with her, but she's also a free spirit, so it's interesting. So you see her, and she plays this with. It's weird because there is a certain joie de vivre. She's like got energy and but she's also got the other kind of that emotion that can come from just a thoughtful, deep person. So there's like another part of it. So you don't see. Sometimes she's not like exuberant, but she's still there. Thinking things out and stuff. So that one's a good performance, very good performance. Like all 4, excellent performance on that one. So that one's Iris. And the other good thing is it ends. Not a good thing. A good twist of the movie is it really deals with the 2 older characters, the issue of Alzheimer's and onset of that. And so the James Broadbent character really has to deal, and in some cases just figure out how is he going to cope with Iris as she's getting worse. And that's So I love those, and this is like leaving out big stuff, Titanic, Revolutionary Road, Sense and Sensibility, but those are my 3 picks, for better or for worse.
All right, so I'm gonna start with Finding Neverland, which it's good. It's good. She's great in it. What I really like about what they do with her in this movie is they just slowly drop in these little hints that she's sick, and unfortunately, right, I think that unfortunately with Johnny Depp movies, because he plays J.M. Barrie, and this is all about, let's create Peter Pan, and he's hanging around with, those kids. And so I think that whenever you see a Johnny Depp movie, it got to a point in his career where you're watching Johnny Depp do a thing. And I can't wait till we do a Johnny Depp show, because there's so much of his stuff. But especially after Pirates, it got to be sort of like, oh, what's he gonna, like, who's Johnny Depp going to be this time? And his, he's got quite an accent in this that I think he does all right with. She's trying so hard to, like, raise these kids. Yeah. And she's slowly but surely getting sicker and sicker. And it's, I don't know, it's just, I think it's one of these understated, underappreciated Kate Winslet movies. Everyone goes straight for Titanic and Revolutionary Road. Yeah. So I think that she does a good job in a movie that doesn't really help her out very much, because it's all about Johnny Depp and doing an accent in this movie. Yes. And she's sort of very just varieties of thank you for coming over to hang out with the children kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yes. And there's a connection there, and there's a great friendship there, and it doesn't seem to devolve into romance. Yeah. But there's a definite connection there. There's a relationship there. And Rhoda Mitchell, who plays Mrs. Barry, is almost, I don't know, cliched as the wife who's like, well, why are you hanging out with them? What's going on? And, she just wants to social climb and all of that. So, but I like Kate Winslet in that. Speaking of Revolutionary Road,
she just doesn't really give a bad performance. I've never seen one where you go, wow, that was just.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned Titanic, right? Yeah. And Titanic is not one of my picks.
It's not one of mine.
It's because I think it's fine. Yeah. I think Titanic, that movie, the star of that movie is the tragedy.
Yeah, it's that story.
It really is, because there's nothing really about her performance that I think is great. I think people get swept up in the epicness of that movie. Yeah,
like sometimes you remember when that movie came out. I mean, it was a huge deal. Yeah, when the movie finally came out, because it was like pushed off for a little while too. So when it finally came out, it was a big deal. Yeah. So it almost seemed like people were only talking about Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, or James Cameron, But it almost seemed like the ones who
Billy Zane gets no love.
I was about to say Billy Zane and Gloria Stewart aren't bad at all, but they get overshadowed. Their acting gets overshadowed more because of what that whole thing brought.
But I wouldn't even call it one of Leo's best.
No, I wouldn't either. It's a fine movie. There's nothing wrong with it.
Well,
but
no,
it's not going to make.
It's too fucking long.
Oh, it's too long. It did make my Kate Winslet list. I'll tell you.
It wouldn't make my Leo list.
Whenever we pull out Leonardo, and I know he's in the bucket somewhere. whenever we pull his name out, yeah, I can tell you right now.
It won't make my
Spoiler
list.
alert! It's not going to make my top 3 Leo
No,
movies.
but you know what? I think it might make my, like, if we ever pull out Billy Zane, maybe.
It might do that
Because I think that, quite frankly, he showed more, actorly depth when he was in Zoolander. But whatever. So, but Titanic, I think, is way overrated. It's an adorable little love story. That's great. That's tragic.
It's in
blah,
this
blah,
huge,
blah.
epic, blockbuster, extended, bloated movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's not one of mine. But Revolutionary Road for me is crazy because these two are like at each other's throats. That to me has always been like, oh, this is the movie. If Titanic
if they both survived,
if they survived and they lived and they got together, they got married,
they stayed together.
and then they had this horrible marriage, because that is like the epitome of like a horrible marriage movie, and it came out in and around the same time as like that period piece in the 50s and 60s that like Mad Men came out, and there's all these shitty people and everybody's cheating on each other, and it was like that whole thing. It was just like a whole different time, and people don't really talk about how they're feeling about anything until they just explode all over each other. And I'd say that their sort of exploding all over each other was one of these, like, it was as good as Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson in that movie Marriage Story or something like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, she's great in that, and it's just that like bubbling up and being unhappy until then finally these two just rip into each other. And I got to tell you, I love these two together.
Oh, so do I.
I would just,
I do too.
Kate and Leo, put them in anything because they are fantastic, and I think that they're like great friends too. Like you see them doing interviews and stuff like that. Yeah, they're great. They've got great chemistry, and I think that's what makes her performance in Revolutionary Road so great. Because I think that you need a scene partner in stuff like that to just really let loose, go and all that. And it's one of his. That might, if I had to do top 5 for Leo, that might be in my top 5.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that was my 4th one on Kate. That that's what didn't. That's what almost.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Almost made it.
Yeah, exactly.
My next one for Kate Winslet is TV. It's that HBO show, Mare of Easttown.
Right, normal current. Yeah, that's
she is so great in that. She really, really is. And it's such a weird thing. And there's been so much weird press about how real she looks and how that was so important for her. She's like, well, you know what? I'm a cop in this little town and I'm in my 40s, I'm going to look it. So she looks like hell a lot of the time. And it adds to the character. And a lot of these articles about that are about how brave it is that she would, be this Hollywood person who would let herself look like that and all that. She's like, well, I just got to.
But if she really looks like
But it's also like it's true to like the character, and it's true to a woman that age, that situation. So, and I'll tell you, I think that's been part of that show's appeal. One, it's a great show, it's a great story, lots of great stuff in it, and but I think that a lot of the appeal is how real she is. Yeah. And I got to tell you, and her, Saturday Night Live did a parody of the show, which is one of those things where it's like anybody in the show is either going to really, really hate it or love it, but everybody seems to be embracing it. It's so great. It's so funny. It skewers this show so badly, but in such a loving way. Yeah, and it really is. It's a great whodunit, and she's so good in it. She's just so exhausted, worn down, and she's got so many things going on, and she's conflicted at times because again, it's a small town. Everybody knows each other, and who are you related to? And, what do you know about this person? And it's really, really great.
I haven't seen the show. I've heard the title. I know she's in it, but I couldn't even tell you what it was about until you just told me now. It sounds a lot. Not the storyline exactly. But what's funny is it's making me think of when Sylvester Stallone did Copland. And except talk about a double standard. It was exactly the opposite. He has to play the small town cop with all of the big town cops who just happen to live in his town.
The big city
and so
cops.
then he decided he was going to play the role because they're like playing him for a fool. So he's a little slower. He doesn't move fast. I mean, he was this big action star, and he put on weight. So he put a pot, and they're like, "What the hell's wrong with Sylvester Stallone? He's letting himself go." And he's like, "No, doing it for this role."
Movie,
And so
he was really good.
I think he was very good. Yeah, and he put a pot on, and he's like always like not bumbling, but a couple steps behind.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of funny because it seems like I'm not making the comparison, but I'm just saying that it's interesting. Like when he was playing a small town cop, they just assume, "What the hell? You're letting yourself go? You're putting on a belly all of a sudden?"
She did it. She really did it because it was just like, there's no sense in this, this.
Yeah, being coaffed and made all
running
up
around in high heels and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But and she drinks and she swears and she's just, she's fantastic. I really liked the show. I'll be honest, my first, the first couple of episodes, I'm just like, oh, all right, wow, this is really gray and depressing, and I'm probably gonna kill myself. So,
maybe I should start drinking.
Right? Exactly. So but the story really gets going. It's really good.
Really good. Well, you know what? She's very talented. So she's kind of made this transition from, I don't know, whatever she was, 19 or 20. She's pretty young, 19 or 20, doing like Sense and Sensibility, where you thought to yourself, oh, this is somebody to keep an eye on. She could have been just like kind of typicast as that like BBC kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But I think that every generation of British actors goes through, and so it sort of runs through because it goes through that cycle.
It cycles
where,
itself
in
out.
10 years there'll be another Sense and Sensibility, some other period piece.
You got it.
That whoever's up and coming then will cut their teeth.
Then when she makes the transition from UK stuff to Hollywood, which is doing Titanic movie, and that's what everybody then really focused on her then. But she's made a what's that, like 25 years maybe? She's probably
that's
something like that.
Yeah.
So like she's made this. I'm not saying that she's always been very talented. She's just got a lot more stuff accessible.
Yeah. On the accent that she does, it's this like Pennsylvania, this weird outside of Pittsburgh kind of accent or something like that. Yeah. It's a good show. It's pretty good. It's good. It's a good story. So,
good.
Yeah, she's great.
She's quite talented, and what I like is she'll take, I don't know, what do you want to say, age appropriate stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, whatever you want to call it.
And I think that she's insisting that that the character be portrayed as their age. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, I agree.
And let the actor be that age.
Right, a little more reasonable.
Yeah.
Than other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's great. So, all right. You had for yours were.
Oh yeah.
Let's do a little recap. You had.
You try.
This is that you had Iris.
Yeah.
And you had.
I'm not seeing the thing.
Oh come on, man! I don't know.
Coney Island.
Oh yeah, I don't.
One of the big rides there is called Wonder
Wheel, and dude, I don't remember.
The Reader.
Sorry, the Reader. Yeah. Okay.
No problem. I may have the same thing with you. The same problem. We both agreed that Titanic was not one of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
You loved Revolutionary Road.
Yeah.
Which was high up on my list. Just didn't quite make it. Mare of Easttown.
Yeah.
Which is TV I don't know if
Yeah,
it was like
I don't know
already
if they
into its
do
second
another
season.
one now.
All right.
I just sort of watched them.
So now I've already forgotten where it was. Hang on. Revolutionary Road, Mare of Easttown, and oh boy,
Fine.
oh yes, Finding Neverland.
There it is.
It was either that or Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo's Land. Yes.
Yes.
Nemo Finding Land. So
Johnny Depp finding Johnny Depp.
You had a question about
Yes.
foreign films,
Foreign films.
subtitles. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. All right. So, do I have a preference between subtitles and dubbing?
I'm not even sure
given-
if people dub as much as they used to. I don't think they dub as much, do they?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
I think
guess.
that when I saw Kalank, I don't. You know what? I don't remember. So maybe that's good.
It probably is good then,
Yeah.
if you don't remember. I think
I
it pulled
don't-
off
I
what it
think-
set out to do if you don't remember.
Yeah. So I don't think I care because I think that whatever it is, you end up, if you're reading subtitles, you end up getting into the rhythm of
Yeah.
the reading and,
And
sort
looking
of
and really
looking up
looking,
and
yes.
being able to do. So you get into it, and so that's
Mhm.
how that works. And then dubbing, if you're not paying attention to like the lips and kind of, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
Then it's not going to matter. So I don't think I have a preference because I've never really been put off by either at all. So
Yeah,
final answer, I would say I don't have a preference.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are really dubbing any. That's one thing I'm starting to think of now. But because as I'm getting older,
Boomer.
too many Clash concerts, late '70s, early '80s. My hearing is terrible, so I always watch any movie with the subtitles on. Because I just do
Yeah.
because I'm afraid I'm missing stuff. So I watch that that's how I watch movies. But I think I prefer subtitles for foreign language because I kind of like to hear that the pattern of their normal speech as they're, and then you just read it, but
Yeah.
you're listening to what they're saying, the inflection, their emotion, that sort of thing. I like that, and I can give you an example. I saw La Cage aux Folles, which is the Birdcage, but the original, the French movie. Saw that one in the theater, and absolutely loved it. Found it hilarious. That was subtitled, and I just remember listening to the French actors' voices, their inflection and stuff was so over the top. It just added a whole other level of humor and stuff. It just was great. So you're still following it with the subtitles. About, I don't know, when VHS is coming on now, you can rent the stuff. So now it's probably like, I don't know, 84, 85. So it's maybe 3 years later or a few years later that I'm watching it again. I rented a VHS tape, put it in, and that one was dubbed. And I remember thinking, I'm not enjoying this nearly as much as, and I've seen this movie 3 years earlier, 2 years earlier. It really changed it for me.
Interesting.
It really did. And I was like, I'm not enjoying it. It's funny, yes. I'm not enjoying it as much. Then the other thing about dubbed movies is there's always this, I'm not going to say a stigma, but there is something in the back of my mind, as I used to love dubbed movies, but only for Asian martial arts movies. So when I was younger, you would get get that, and that added a whole other thing. Whether it was humorous or not, you'd be like, and some of those with the sound effects.
Yeah.
And that added a different sort of dimension, added to the entertainment in one sense, but I don't know if I would want to see a regular movie anymore it's dubbed because that I always looked at that one. It was kind of like it added this weird little hilariousness that might not be intentional. You know what I mean? That's a thing.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Yeah. Hey, let's do the bucket.
Show thing.
Show thing. Here, you take that.
Oh, okay. Great. So you blame it on me. All right. Oh, all righty. Do a little bit of homework, but it's all good.
All right. Cool.
Get out of the way so we don't put it back in.
All right. Cool. All right, folks. Well, hey, you've wasted another 35, 40 minutes, whatever this was. I don't know.
That's right. As long as our checks keep coming in.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So,
our time. Yeah, try this as a podcast too. That's pretty cool. While you're at the gym, I always say about the gym.
Yeah, I don't know why the gym, because it's not like we spend any time.
Driving, if you're driving back to work and back and forth to work these days, great. So yeah, we've got some merch. Check out the merch. We got a link at the end of the show.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So send us some questions. Those are always fun. So, and I guess that's it. Thanks so much. See you next time.
Take care.